Hey guys, Twice here with our next nation analysis. This one is going to be for Magallanica. And Magallanica is a very interesting nation in that the three clans that it has in it don't seem to share some kind of like overarching theme. They all operate in some very different ways. But Magallanica can kind of be explained as an archipelago nation, as it says right there, or archipelago, or however you pronounce it. And the three clans in it are the Grand Blue Pirates, Bermuda Triangle, and Aquaforce. Grand Blue, again, are like the undead pirates, like ghosts and stuff like that. Bermuda Triangle, they're all mermaids. Like, I think that literally everyone is a mermaid in the clan. And then Aquaforce is like a navy military kind of thing. But anyway, so we're going to go right into Grand Blue. This is actually a clan that I play, though I haven't really played it as much. Set 13 brought it its newest support, and in the new set coming out, set 17, we're going to see a lot more support for Grand Blue as they finally get their Legion. It kind of took a while for that to load, but anyway, as you can see, just some very weird artwork. They are all based off of pirates and ghosts and stuff like that. And with that in mind, they are like the undead pirates. You can't kill them. So whenever they go to the drop zone, they don't stay there. Grand Blue is all based around calling their rear guards from the drop zone to rear guard circles, and then like performing combos in doing so. Now I'm going to show you two main cards here that really show off what they do. The first is Drift Ice Swordsman Night Snow, the new card that came out in the Fighters Collection. Really quintessential Grand Blue card here. Limit Break is counterblast 1 and choose one of your rear guards and retire it, so there you go, you're putting it into the drop zone to use it later. Choose one card from your drop zone, call it to the rear guard, and that unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn, and you can only use it once per turn. So, as you can see, that's kind of where Grand Blue is specifically designed around, and the thing about that is that you can technically put that card into the drop zone, and because it's in the drop zone, when you activate the ability, because you paid it as cost, you can call it to the rear guard and it will get plus 5. So that's kind of what they do, but his secondary skill is what makes it even better. Counterblast 2 and Soul Blast 2. Soul Blasting, by the way, is really good in Grand Blue because those cards go to the drop zone. If you have a grade 3 or a greater Vanguard, ride this card as stand. Which is great because if he's in the drop zone, because Grand Blue is really good at milling cards or sending cards to the top of your deck to the drop zone, and you're sitting on their break ride, I'll actually show you him right now. His name is Lord of the Seven Seas Night Mist, which is a pretty appropriate name for, their break ride. But anyway, Night Mist is their break ride, so if Night Snow, the card I just showed you, is in the drop zone, because he got milled or something, you can break ride him on that turn by paying that cost, because his ability activates from the drop zone. The limit break here for the break ride is when a Grand Blue rides this unit, choose your Vanguard, it gets 10,000 power, and you can revive 2 Grand Blue units from the drop zone, and they're going to get 5,000 power, and at the end of that turn, they're going to go back to the drop zone. So that's kind of how Grand Blue works. There's a lot of combos that can be made because you're just consistently retiring things, calling things, using abilities, just getting power from that, or drawing cards or things like that. So, very interesting clan, a really interesting aesthetic. Alright, on to Aquaforce. This is one of probably the more supported clans in the game, and it's used by one of the coolest characters in the show, which is Leon Soryu. Anyway, so Aquaforce has an interesting strategy in that they are like Nova Grappler in that they try to get off multiple attacks per turn, but they do so in a different way. Unlike Nova Grappler, which restands its units, Aquaforce does so mostly by attacking with the unit in the front row of a rearguard column, and then that unit will switch with the back row unit, and that back row unit will be stood, so you can technically get off another attack. Even though it doesn't have to hit the Vanguard or any other card, it is still technically an attack. So the number of attacks and just restanding to put pressure on your opponent, force out their hand, that's what Aquaforce does. As you can see, they do have a lot of support. But one of their main cards, I feel, that kind of just shows off what they do, if I can find him. Where is he? His name is Basil. Storm Rider Basil, there it is. Anyway, Basil's ability, he was one of the first Aquaforce cards, came out in set 8. Ability is when he attacks Vanguard, if you have an Aquaforce Vanguard, and if it's the first attack of that turn, he gets 2,000 power, so we will swing for 10k. Obviously, back in Season 2, this was more useful because 10k Vanguards were everywhere. And at the end of that battle, close step of that battle, you're going to choose an Aqua Force rearguard behind him, and then they're going to switch positions. So it's like attack, and then switch, and then attack. And that's kind of how they're supposed to work. And today, like, their vanguards are mostly based around, you know, the number of attacks is what gives them their abilities. So, if I can find a Blue Wave Dragon, Tetradrive Dragon is one of the most iconic cards from Season 3. Abilities at the end of the battle that this unit attacked a vanguard. If it is the second battle of that turn, so again, the number of battles or the specific battle is very important to their strategy. Until the end of that turn, he gets an ability of Counterblast 2, choose 2 Aqua Force from your hand and discard them. At the end of the battle that your rearguard attacked a vanguard, if it is the 4th battle of that turn or more, or just the 4th battle rather, you may pay the cost you do, he stands up. So there you go. It's all about, you know, attack formation. It's all about pressuring the opponent and getting off a certain number of attacks in a certain order in order to get off abilities. And so obviously Aqua Force is, again, just one of the most, like, well-supported clans that there's out there. And also, he has a little tie, and it just makes him adorable, so that's okay. So yes, Aqua Force, very strong clan. There's a lot more I could go into depth with them, but there really isn't anything more to it than that. Just attack and switch and try to get off a certain order and, you know, plot your attacks correctly. So the next clan we're going to look at is Bermuda Triangle. And Bermuda Triangle is a very interesting clan because their strategy is kind of similar to things like Pale Moon or Granblue, in that they operate from a certain place in the field, which is, in this case, not the soul or the drop zone, but actually the hand. So what Bermuda Triangle is based on doing is sending cards from the field to your hand, or bouncing them, as people like to call it, and then calling them back to get off abilities. So cards who have abilities that when they're placed they activate are really good for this deck, or there are abilities where when they're bounced back to the hand they, you know, can give power. But I guess one of their most iconic cards from Season 3 at least is Prism Promise Labrador. So Labrador's Limit Break is when she attacks a vanguard, you can choose up to 3 cards with Prism in their card name. That's their main archetype, by the way. Aqua Force, their main archetype is Blue Storm, but it's relatively new, and up until, at least for Season 3 as of right now, before Set 15, you know, they kind of don't really have an archetype, but Bermudas do. They have Prism and Duo. So this card is, you choose up to 3 Prisms, you call them to the rearguards from your hand, and if you did call 3 cards with her ability, then she'll get 10,000 power and an extra critical in that attack. So there you go, just calling cards from the hand to get off, you know, more power or something. And then her secondary ability is Counterblast 1 card with Prism in its card name. You're going to choose one of your rearguards with Prism and then return it to your hand. And there are cards, let me show you one right now. If I can actually find them. Like Prism Image Rosa. Or no, that's not Rosa. I have to find Celtic. I'm sorry, I haven't played this deck all that much. It's actually my teammate, Odd, that mostly plays Bermuda Triangle. Anyway, so Prism Promise Celtic. Soul Blast 1, when this unit is returned to your hand from the rearguard circle, you pay the cost. If you do, choose another one of your Bermuda Triangle, and that unit gets 4,000 power until end of turn. So there you go. Bermuda Triangle are very good about building up power onto certain units, and then recalling their cards to their field. And in doing so, they can actually fix their hand a little bit too. So if there are certain cards on the field that they would rather have in their hand for guard, or if there are certain cards that they don't need on the field, they can kind of replace those very quickly. So Bermuda Triangle is very interesting in the fact that it also gets almost all of its support exclusively from Extra Boosters. They got 4 cards from the second set, but Extra Booster 2, 6, and 10 are what give it most of its cards. And in the Extra Booster 10, all of the cards came in both a black artwork and then a white artwork. So just a really cool, you know, aesthetic thing going on with Bermuda Triangle. So very powerful clan, very interesting clan, and again, just kind of a classic one in that it has some of the most interesting artwork and one of the best strategies. So that's been Magallanica. Very diverse in their strategies. Granblue, obviously, with its calling of rearguards from the drop zone. Aqua Force, with its multiple attacks and getting off power and abilities from that. And Bermuda Triangle from returning cards from the field to their hand to get off abilities and to get off more power. So, hope you guys have enjoyed. The next ones we're going to do are Zoo and Stargate, which again also each have 3 clans because this doesn't really count as one. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video series. I hope it really has been helpful for the new players. And thank you again for all your support you've given to Team Zenith. So remember to have a great day and keep card fighting. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.